Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome to day one of vlogmas, bookmas, whatever I'm supposed to be calling this on this channel. If all goes according to plan, there should be one video every 3 days, with days 11 and 12 landing in the first week of January. People do it all different ways, but this is the way that makes the most sense for me. I have not been doing monthly wrap-ups this year at all, mainly because I've had a pretty slow reading year, and I thought it might be boring or pointless if I'm only reading like 3 books in a month, but I miss doing them, and we're talking about both books and movies in each wrap-up, so there is actually more to talk about. So I'm gonna start them up again, and if anyone has any suggestions for how I should format these in 2026, please let me know.
Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear my voice? Anybody out there? Anybody hears me? Please respond.
So I'm gonna go over the books first. I read more books in November than I have in any other month this year. Granted, that is because a lot of them were novellas, but I'm gonna take the win anyways, even though 8 books only came out to about 1,762 pages. But that's okay. Some of us are slow readers. That's fine. If you're a slow reader, you're still a reader. You're still valid. Out of these, it looks like 2 were horror, 1 was fantasy, 2 were sci-fi, 1 was a classic, and 2 were general literary fiction. The first 3 books I read were for a vlog where I was reading books released in 2025 that have under 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. And the first book I read for that was Landlocked in Foreign Skin by Drew Huff. In this book, people have colonized one of Jupiter's moons, and a wealthy heiress is searching the oceans on Jupiter's moon to find this creature called a fisherman, which is sort of like a mermaid if a mermaid could change form at will. This was a very strange book, and if you're looking to go into it, please check trigger warnings. It might be a difficult read for people who have specific sensitivities to specific topics. I liked the first half of this book a lot more than I liked the second half. I never say this, but I think that this book could have benefited from an extra 150 pages. I believe that the author tried to go down too many paths at once and then didn't have the time or space to wrap them all up cohesively. But I gave it a 3. I didn't hate it, I just thought that it could have used more. Next, for that video, I read Cathedral of the Drowned by Nathan Ballingrud, which is the sequel to Crypt of the Moonspider. I can't tell you anything about this because it's a sequel, so instead I will tell you about Crypt of the Moonspider. The first book is about a woman named Veronica who's a little bit depressed, and so her horrible husband decides that she needs to be fixed. And in this universe, we on Earth have figured out space travel by the 1920s, and so he sends her on a shuttle to the moon where there's a mental health facility with a doctor who has come up with a procedure. He does brain surgery where he goes in and he scoops out all of the unhealthy, mentally ill parts of your brain, and then he fills in the gaps with the webbing from ancient moon spiders that used to live on the moon. So Veronica is sent up there for this procedure. And spoiler alert, it does not go exactly to plan, and that's all I'll tell you about that. And then Cathedral of the Drowned obviously is the follow-up. We're following some of the same characters, some different characters. Crypt of the Moonspider I gave either a 4.5 or a 5, and Cathedral of the Drowned I gave a 4. I still had a great time, I just didn't love it as much as the first book. There is also a 3rd book in this series coming out next year, which I'm very excited for. The 3rd book I read for that video was Fate's Bane by C.L. Clarke. In this book, we are in a Celtic-inspired land. All the people used to be part of one clan, but then people got greedy and they split off into a dozen or so clans. And we're following Agnir, who is the daughter of the chief of one of the clans and has been given as a ward to the chief of another clan as a peace offering. So she grows up in this other clan and she winds up falling in love with the daughter of the enemy chief. And the enemy chief doesn't like that, not because of homophobia. Gay shit is very normalized in here. No one cares at all. It's because she's the daughter of the enemy clan's chief. And I gave this a 4.5. And again, all 3 that I just named, they're all novellas, so these are easy ones to get through. The next 3 books I read for my 2nd episode of Read It or Unhaul It. The first of which is I Cheerfully Refuse by Leif Enger. Based on the synopsis of this book, I thought I was going into a high action adventure science fiction book. I was very wrong about that. that. Most of this book is meandering. It's slow moving, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, although for parts of it I was a little bit bored. It just wasn't what I was expecting. I did still enjoy it. I gave it a 3.5, but it just wasn't the exciting novel that I was promised in the synopsis. It's a little bit mismarketed. This book is about a man named Rainey who lives on the shore of Lake Michigan in somewhat of a dystopian future. The government is not working anymore. Things are turning into a kind of barren wasteland, but Rainey and his wife are very happy just to be together on the shore of Lake Michigan. His wife dies. This is not a spoiler. This is in the synopsis. It's the whole point of the book. His wife dies under horrible circumstances, and Rainey has to take his boat out onto Lake Michigan to avoid the same fate. And Lake Michigan is dangerous and full of storms that sink boats and drown people and just cause general havoc. So Rainey is simultaneously trying to win against the weather, trying to win against people who may or may not be following him, and trying to win against his grief from losing his beloved wife. And that is I Cheerfully Refuse. The second book that I read for that video is The Island of Last Things by Emma Slowly. I was so excited for this book. It sounded exactly like my shit. Look at that beautiful cover. Perhaps my favorite cover of the year. This is about a woman named Camille who works at the last zoo on Earth. We are again in this future dystopian society. The Earth has fallen to shit, but this time it's because there is a mold, a fungus that has spread across the Earth, and it's killed off like 95% of animal life. And so this zoo on Alcatraz Island off of San Francisco, it's the last zoo on Earth, and it holds some of the last animals on Earth. The last elephant, the last jaguar, the last crocodile. These are the last of their species on Earth, so it's f***ing bleak. And Camille finds out that there will be a new zookeeper coming in, and this zookeeper maybe happens to be in an unusual circumstance and winds up bringing chaos and crime to the island. This is about animals. It's a dystopian future. I thought it was also going to be gay. This should have been the perfect book for me. However, the conflicts weren't as fleshed out as I thought that they were going to be. The world building was not as vast and scoped out as I wanted it to be. If we're in this post-apocalyptic world where mold has wiped out like most of the animal life on Earth, I want to know more about the rest of the Earth. And also wasn't gay. I mean, there are some undertones for sure, but I thought that this zookeeper was going to come in and they were going to fall in love. To be fair, it doesn't actually say that they fall in love in the synopsis. I think I just assumed two zookeepers coming together at the end of the world. I assumed they would fall in love. So because of all that, I also gave this 3.5 stars, but I would say this is still a worthwhile book to pick up. I'm not trying to sway you away from reading this book. The third book I read for that video, I don't know if you can even count this as a book, The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. This is less of a book and more of a like 33-page short story, but holy shit, it is the perfect short story. I was going crazy. I underlined almost every line from this entire 33 pages. This is a classic that has been around for over 100 years. It's about a woman who is treated unfairly by her doctor husband, and he does not believe her when she says that she is sick and she's postpartum, and so she should be taken very seriously. I mean, anyone should be taken seriously, but especially postpartum, you need to be taken seriously. So she has this postpartum depression that winds up turning into postpartum psychosis. Her husband moves her to a house in the country to get her some fresh air, and then he basically locks her in this bedroom that she hates because the wallpaper is driving her crazy. She starts seeing little women crawling around behind the wallpaper. And that's all I'll say because it's only 33 pages. But I do believe that everyone should read this. It'll take you 15 minutes. And there's a reason that this has been so popular for over 100 years. It stands the test of time. Unfortunately, these things still happen today. A lot of the medical community does not want to believe or treat women properly. So unfortunately, it is just as relevant now as it ever has been. The final two books I won't be talking to you about at all because the reading vlog for them is coming out in a few days. But I will tell you, I did in fact read Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell and Normal People by Sally Rooney. Why did I read them? I don't know. You'll see in a few days. Do you think I liked them? Don't cheat. Don't look at Goodreads. Just guess. And now we get to move into movies. I watched 16 movies in the month of November. I thought it was gonna wind up being more. There was a period that for the first 2 weeks of the month, I was watching at least one movie a night, if not more than one. So I thought I was gonna have like a 30 movie month. Obviously that didn't happen. The first movie I watched, you know what, hold on. Let me move over here so I can put up the posters. The first movie I watched was Hell House LLC. At the beginning of the month, I was still in the October spooky mode and I wanted to go out with a few more horror movies. Hell House was a bad choice. This is a cult classic. People fucking love this movie and they love this series, and I don't get it. I have seen so many people talking about how it's the best found footage documentary style horror movie ever. Why? I give it 2 stars. This is about a group of people who put on a haunted house in a new location every year. They're trying to form this successful business around this annual haunted house show type thing. They usually do it in New York City, but this year they've moved upstate New York and something goes horribly wrong. They choose to do it in this hotel called the Abaddon, which already has a haunted past. Not haunted like ghosts, but like bad shit has happened here. And this is just a group of the fucking dumbest people I've ever seen in my life. And not dumb in a fun way, just fucking idiots. They're ignoring all of these signs where if any normal person saw these signs going on, they would turn tail and run far the fuck away. They're seeing things in the house and they're just like, oh, I'll worry about that later. What? What are you doing? I felt a ghost touch my back while I was filming the other day, and even that almost made me burn my own house down. So anyway, that was Hell House. Don't watch this movie. To keep the bad movie streak going, next I watched Friendship, which I was very excited for. I love Tim Robinson. I love his short form sketch show. I love I Think You Should Leave. I just think that he is better in short form. Again, this is a movie that to me felt cringy, but not in a good way. This is about a man played by Tim Robinson who lives this classic suburban life and everything seems a little bit boring, and he kind of falls in love with this charismatic new neighbor played by Paul Rudd. It sounds like it would be great. Instead, I was counting down the minutes until it was over. This is an hour and 40 minutes long. It felt like Oppenheimer length. Genuinely, this felt like a 5-hour movie. And I know that some people loved it, but I hated it so much that I'm actually not going to be watching his new show, what is it, Chair Company. I still will watch as many seasons as he puts out of I Think You Should Leave, but I need a hard Tim Robinson break right now. I gave that 2 stars. Did I say that? Luckily, the next movie I watched was a big hit with me specifically. I know that other people don't share this opinion, but as we already know, I love a mid movie, and A Perfect Getaway was a perfect mid movie. If I can bring back something I haven't talked about in too long, I would say that A Perfect Getaway is the mid movie of the month. I had such a good time with it. I give it 5 stars, okay? The average on Letterboxd I think is a 3. We're basically following these newlyweds around Hawaii, and they keep getting news updates about a couple that's on a murdering spree in Hawaii. And through the movie they meet a bunch of different couples and they're like, are you guys the murderers? Are you guys the murderers? Who's gonna kill us? And it's so much fun following them. The action is great. The scenery is great because we're on beautiful, perfect Hawaii. We have Steve Zahn, we have Timothy Oliphant, we have Keely Sanchez of Lost, of notoriously the worst Lost episode of all time. Chris Hemsworth is in it, and I think this was before he was like a big name. I was laughing my ass off. I was giggling and hopping up and down on the sofa. I was having such a good time, and I don't give a that no one else seems to love it as much as I do. This is gonna be an annual rewatch for me. And it's on HBO Max in case anyone else wants to watch this. Next up, I watched Frankenstein, and I watched it the way that God intended, in a 130-year-old theater after going to the bar. And let me say first and foremost, hot. Everyone hot. Mia Goth is absolutely perfect in this, and if you didn't catch it, she plays 2 characters. She plays Victor Frankenstein's mom, and then she also plays his brother's wife that he falls in love with. And that plays perfectly into the Freudian shit that goes on in here, with Oscar Isaac downing milk left and right. And speaking of Oscar Isaac, you see booty cheeks. If that's something that's gonna sway you, if that is something that will make or break whether you see this movie or not, you do in fact see Oscar Isaac booty cheeks here. Also, I was never a Jacob Elordi girl. I've never been drawn to him, except for as a friend in Papa's Orchard, whatever that viral tweet is. But just like I wasn't an Austin Butler girl until I saw him as Feyd-Rautha in Dune 2, Jacob Elordi as the monster is what has turned me into a Jacob Elordi girl, I think. I'm still not quite there. I'm gonna wait for Wuthering Heights and I'm gonna see how, what that does to my brain, but I'm on my way. Jacob Elordi brought so much emotion to the monster, and also his movements. He moved in ways I've never seen a human move before. Although what I will say, the movie felt a little bit too Netflixy and not enough Guillermo del Toro-y for me. I think that the sets were beautiful. enjoyable, but I think that they should have been more real looking, dirtier, grittier. Everything was a little bit too clean feeling, a little bit fakey, and I do wish that we would have been able to push further into the grime of it all. But aside from that, I had a really good time. I will be rewatching it. It'll probably wind up as some kind of comfort movie for me, and I give it 4 stars. Next, I watched Tenet, and I don't even know how to describe this to you. Also, yes, I'm about 5 years late to this movie. I understand that. I'm usually good at seeing Chris Nolan movies immediately when they come out. I don't know why it took so long for me to see this. I had fun, let me say. I gave it 4 stars. It's not my favorite Chris Nolan movie, well, obviously, but we'll get to that in a second. I don't even know how to explain this movie to you. We are in a world of international espionage where one man is trying to save the entire world, and to do that, he has to utilize new technology in which you can move into a sideways world where everyone moves backwards. Am I doing this justice at all? I don't think so. We find out that there's, oh my god, what do I say? There's this technology where can move backwards. Our protagonist almost gets shot, but it's by a bullet that's moving backwards. The bullet was already in the wall and he almost gets shot by it coming out of the wall and back into the gun. It's not going to make sense unless you watch the movie, and even when you watch the movie, it probably will not make sense. You just kind of have to vibe with it. Just be along for the ride. We have Jonathan David Washington and Robert Pattinson as the leads. They're so good. And we obviously have Michael Caine. I think it's in his contract that he has to be in every Christopher Nolan movie. I will tell you right now, if I had to rank, oh god, if I had to rank Christopher Nolan movies, obviously Interstellar is first, The Dark Knight is second, Memento is probably third, then The Prestige, then Inception, and then Dunkirk, and then the other Batman movies. I think. That was just off the cuff, so don't hold me to that if I change my mind later. Interstellar is always going to be number 1 because it is, in fact, my favorite movie of all time. Hopefully you gleaned any kind of quality information off of what I just said, because I kind of just blacked out. I don't even remember how I tried to explain this to you. Next, I watched Ponyo for the very first time ever. I went on a tiny bit of a Studio Ghibli? Oh god, I'm gonna make someone really mad right now. I went on a little bit of a Studio Ghibli kick last year. I don't think it's Ghibli. Correct me if I'm wrong. I watched Spirited Away, I watched Princess Mononoke, I watched The Boy and the Heron, I watched Howl's Moving Castle. Oh, and I watched Kiki's Delivery Service. Princess Mononoke, by the way, that is my number 1 so far. Ponyo might be a close second. I absolutely loved this movie so much. This was so deeply cute and comforting, and I watched it curled up under the covers on my laptop with the rain pouring outside, my dogs and my cats cuddled up next to me with a good snack. I watched it in the optimal circumstances. This is basically about a young boy who lives on a cliff top with his mother, and he rescues a goldfish, what he thinks is a normal goldfish, but it turns out to be, I don't even know what she is. She's like half goldfish, half human, or she's just magic and she can shapeshift. Whatever she is, she's the daughter of some crazy ass undersea magician who really wants his daughter back, and he creates some chaos in order to get her back. I love the animation style in this so much. It's kind of what my dreams are made of, seeing the kind of underwater lands that are throughout the movie. It's kind of everything that I wanted in a Miyazaki film, but it still can't beat Princess Mononoke. Then I watched Begonia with Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. I will say, first and foremost, Jesse Plemons, I think, is one of the best actors of our generation. I think he is one of the best that we have right now, and I think that he's absolutely incredible in anything he does. No matter how small his role, he steals the scene of anything he's in. Him playing the gun nut in Civil War with his little pink glasses, I could not stop. That's what I couldn't stop thinking about that movie after I watched it. Just Jesse Plemons in his little glasses. Even him in Game Night. I think Game Night was one of the first things I ever saw him in, talking about the Frito-Lay company. I love him so much, and it doesn't hurt that he looks just like Philip Seymour Hoffman, who is, in fact, I think the best actor that I've ever heard of. Rest in peace. Anyway, in Begonia, Jesse Plemons is a conspiracy theorist who believes that Emma Stone, who's the CEO of some like big wellness company, she's like Gwyneth Paltrow, Goop style. Jesse Plemons believes that she's actually an alien who has come to Earth to destroy the planet. And so he decides to kidnap her to try and stop that from happening. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I thought this was great. Anything that Yorgos does, I'm gonna like, because he puts out such weird shit consistently. I still haven't seen The Lobster, I haven't seen The Favorite, I haven't seen Okay, there's like a good handful of Yorgos films that I have not seen yet, but I have seen Poor Things, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and Begonia, and all three of them I loved. Poor Things obviously was the film darling of 2023. It won in every award that it was put up against. I don't think that Begonia will have that kind of luck during award season this year, but it was so entrancing to watch. It's only a 2-hour movie, but I couldn't look away from the screen once. There was not a single minute that could have been cut. The time was used so perfectly. You were never bored. You were never checking your watch. Yorgos Lanthimos seems to go above and beyond anyone else in terms of big swings. He does not shy away from weirdness. Obviously, if you've seen Poor Things, you should know that already. He makes movies that simply cannot be compared to anything else. You won't watch Begonia and think, oh, that reminds me of these 10 other films. Next, I rewatched Holes for the first time in 15 years, probably, maybe more. One of my best friends lives in Europe now, and a long distance friendship is really hard. And so we have decided to start watching movies together apart. So she and I watched Holes together at midnight my time and like 7 or 8 a.m. her time, which it turns out is like the perfect time to watch Holes for both of us. If you haven't watched this already, I don't know what you're doing. This is about Stanley Yelnats, a boy who has the worst luck in the world, and he winds up getting sent to kind of a reform facility for a crime that he didn't actually commit. And at this reform facility out in the desert, which is run by Sigourney Weaver, he is made to dig holes every day. He and the 40 other boys that are there, they just have to dig holes all day every day. If this camp existed in real life, it would go against any kind of child labor laws. There's no way that this could actually exist and be a place that judges send children. I don't even want to say anything else about this movie except for the fact that I'm so in love with one of the characters. A different character now. When I was a child, I was in love with a certain character, and now I'm in love with a different character. And if you haven't seen this yet, please go watch it. If this is missing from your repertoire, there's something wrong with you. Next, I watched Die, My Love with Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson, which was like a spike to my childhood brain. To have Edward Cullen and Katniss Everdeen in one movie, 12-year-old me would be pooping her pants. Except that this movie is fucking traumatic. This is about a woman who has just given birth, and she is slipping into a deep postpartum depression. It is a rough watch, and I would imagine it would be a rougher watch for anyone who has had children, definitely for anyone who has dealt with postpartum depression. So check trigger warnings if you're wanting to watch this movie. But Jennifer Lawrence's performance was flawless. And I know that she's done interviews about how with her second kid she had postpartum anxiety and some postpartum depression. And so I believe that she was drawing on that. But she was electric. And I mean that in a good way, even though it was absolutely terrifying the shit that she was doing. Robert Pattinson was obviously great as well. Everything he does is great. He is genuinely a tremendous actor, but Jennifer Lawrence really stole the entire show. I mean, the movie is hers. Next, with my biggest disappointment of the month, I watched Materialists. I had such high hopes for this because Pedro Pascal, first of all, because I was promised a rom-com. This is not a rom-com. This is so deeply not a fucking rom-com. This is about Dakota Johnson, who plays a matchmaker at an agency in New York, and she tries to set up Pedro Pascal as one of her clients. She winds up dating him, and then Chris Evans shows up as her ex-boyfriend. And then we have the dichotomy of boyfriends. We have Pedro Pascal, who is rich and successful and lives in a $12 million penthouse in New York. And then we have Chris Evans, who's a struggling actor and a waiter and lives in a shitty apartment with 4 other people. And we have Dakota Johnson in the middle trying to pick between the two of them. If this had been a normal ass rom-com, this could have been incredible. Instead, it was dumb. God, it was so dumb. It made absolutely wild choices, including, just technically, weird cuts. It would hold on to shots for way too long. It would leave in all of this silence that didn't actually add anything. We weren't adding emotional tension. It was just leaving in empty, hollow silences. Very strange choice. And also, I cannot imagine a world in which I am presented with near billionaire Pedro Pascal, who loves me and wants to take care of me and wants me to come live in his $12 million home and fly to Iceland with him on his jet on a whim. Being presented with that and then being like, oh, I can't choose between that and my musty dusty ex who I already tried and failed to have a relationship with. It didn't work out. Oh, maybe I should try again. Absolutely not. What the f***? This is the most unrealistic movie of the year. Also, weirdest choice. This is not a spoiler because it's not even part of the plot. Also, it's the opening scene. This movie chose to open the scene with this weird caveman thing. The movie opens with a caveman bringing flowers to a cave woman, and then that leads into her being a matchmaker and talking about how all people want is a rich partner who can take care of them and how she only cares about money, and it was the most fucking bizarre thing ever. I laughed out loud. This movie took itself way too fucking seriously, and it had no right to do that. It was not a good enough movie to take itself so seriously. Like, I gave it 2.5 stars. Even though Pedro Pascal was in it, I gave it 2.5 stars. That should tell you something. Next, I watched One Battle After Another, which was my first Paul Thomas Anderson movie ever. I don't know how that's possible. I need to watch Magnolia soon for the Philip Seymour Hoffman of it all. I need to watch Punch Drunk Love soon because it's one of my friend's favorite movies of all time, and I keep promising him I'll watch it and I keep disappointing him. Oh, that one and Phantom Thread. I'm disappointing him twice. I need to watch There Will Be Blood. I'm failing as a person and as a movie lover. I'm failing. But One Battle After Another deserves all of the applause that it's getting. Good lord, the way this is shot. I never realized that hills could give me so much anxiety. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a revolutionary, or a wannabe revolutionary, depending on how you're looking at it, who winds up settling down, having a kid, getting out of the revolutionary lifestyle, and then it all comes back to bite him in the ass like 16 years later, and now he and his daughter have to outrun their enemies. I don't know how to explain this movie aside from saying that it didn't feel like I was watching a movie. This is gonna be the dumbest thing I've ever said. It just felt like I was watching someone's life for a few weeks. Just like I was following them around as an invisible camera. It didn't feel like a movie. It didn't feel like a movie, it felt like an experience. I'm so sorry I said that, but it's true. DiCaprio was amazing, his daughter, played by Chase Infinity, was amazing, but the people that stole the show for me were Teyana Taylor, who plays his ex, absolutely astounding. Sean Penn, good lord. Sean Penn disappeared into his character. And this character that he disappeared into, you want to beat him up. You want to beat the shit out of him so badly. I wished I could dive through the screen and punch this man in the face. Oh my god. There are nuances to his performance that I don't want to talk about because I don't want to spoil anything. But the subtleties of it, if Sean Penn does not win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, I would be astounded. He absolutely stole every scene that he was in. Him and Benicio del Toro, actually. Benicio del Toro's character was amazing. I almost didn't watch this in theaters, and then my friend texted me and he was like, hey, today is the last day that One Battle After Another is still in theaters. You need to go with me at noon. I was like, okay, fine. Why not? I'll go with you at noon. I'm so glad that I did. This is a movie that was made to be played on a big screen. 4.5 stars. The next night, I saw Predator Badlands. And I will preface this by saying I have not seen all the Predator movies. I haven't seen all the Alien movies. Any of the AVP world, I have not seen everything. My bad. When Prey came out a few years ago, I loved that one. I assumed Badlands would not stack up against it. I was so wrong. I was so deeply wrong. It was so good. I know that there was discourse before it came out because of how Deck was portrayed and what he looked like, and I think that people were mad that they were giving him humanity. It was so necessary. It was so needed. I was not expecting to give a Predator movie 4.5 stars, but I did. They come up with the perfect little found family. Basically, Deck is the young Predator and he has to go kill a certain beast in order to win his shitty, horrible father's approval. And while he's doing so, he meets Thea, who's played by Elle Fanning, who is half of an android. Her legs got ripped off, so it's just half of an android that Deck wears around like a backpack for the whole movie. And the two of them go on a journey, an adventure to find this beast together. And they become this little family along the way, and it's just so cute and like kind of wholesome. And now I really want to go back and I want to watch all of the A and P movies in order. Alien and Predator, all the movies in order, so I can watch it again and have like a fuller vision of what's going on. Because I'm sure that there is lore that I'm not caught up on, obviously, if I haven't seen all these movies. But even not knowing all of the lore, I still love this so much. So I want to catch up on my lore now. Then I finally, 3 years late, saw Elvis. I, like I said, was not an Austin Butler girl until I saw him in Dune 2 as Fade Rotha. Elvis solidified me as an Austin Butler girl. It did. It really did. I know that there's a lot of shit talking because he kept the Elvis voice for like years after he did it. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Keep the Elvis voice. Does not bother me. He is so hot in this movie, I was gnawing at the arm of my sofa. The only reason I took off half a star for this is because of Tom Hanks's accent. I love Tom Hanks with my entire heart. His choices in this movie for characterization, his choices were a little bizarre. He felt like a caricature of this person. And who knows, maybe this is actually how this person talked and acted in real life. I wouldn't know, but I cannot imagine that that's true. I can't imagine anyone on the history of the planet has ever spoken and acted like Tom Hanks did in this movie. But basically, we're going through Elvis's life as seen through the eyes of his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, the one played by Tom Hanks. I love this movie. This is absolutely becoming a comfort watch for me. I had so much fun. I was smiling, I was dancing, I was singing. I am mad at myself for never having watched this before. I am mad at myself for denying myself an Austin Butler crush, because this would have reeled me in 2022 if I had seen it in 2022 when I should have, but I'm here now and that's all that matters. Next, I watched The Long Walk, which I have been I missed it in theaters, okay? I missed it. That's my bad. I wish I had seen it in theaters and I've been waiting for a while, but I finally got to see it. I have never read a Stephen King book. That's also my bad. Never have I read a Stephen King book. I know that, again, I'm failing in certain regards. So I didn't know what to expect from The Long Walk. What I knew was the synopsis, which is that in this dystopian future, there's a competition, kind of light Hunger Games style, where boys can sign up to participate in The Long Walk, and if they win, they get riches beyond their wildest dreams, and they get a wish, and their family will never suffer again for the rest of their life, because we're in this America in which everything has gone to shit. I believe there was another civil war, and everyone is poor, everyone is struggling. Taking it back to my love, my deep love for Philip Seymour Hoffman, Cooper Hoffman, his son, is the lead in this, and I couldn't help but see so many of his dad's attributes in his performance. It was almost painful. Especially there's one part where he has to give this little speech about how in the movie his father is gone. His father's dead, he's not coming back for him anymore. And knowing the actual circumstances of Cooper Hoffman's life, it made it hit so much harder. David Johnson is the other lead in this, and good lord, he's that boy. That man? Wait, he's an adult, right? Oh my god, he was born in the same year as me. I don't know why I thought he was maybe actually a teenager. That man has a career in front of him. He was so good. He was a scene stealer, and it was heartbreaking. Oh, I didn't even tell you yet. The competition that they sign up for, The Long Walk, these boys just have to keep going. I think it's 50 boys who start on this walk. They walk for hundreds and hundreds of miles until only one of them is left. And whoever falls behind, whoever can't keep going anymore, Mark Hamill is there to shoot them in the head. Very mild Hunger Games-like. If you fall behind, you're killed. So out of every 50 boys that participates every year, 49 of them are straight up murdered. The boys cannot stop. You don't stop to eat. You don't stop to sleep. You don't stop to use the bathroom. Speaking of which, I had questions about what happens when they need to use the bathroom. Luckily, or unfortunately, they show us pretty early on what happens when you have to use the bathroom. And they show us graphically. I could have done without that. I could have gone my whole life without seeing that. But I understand that it was necessary. Like, I get that it was a necessary part and it's to show us, you know, how intense this all is. I still could have gone without that part. Anyway, The Long Walk was a 4. Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson are my heroes. I will be watching their careers very closely, and I love them very much. Penultimately, I watched The Phantom of the Opera for the 1000th time. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. If you've never seen Phantom of the Opera, you're doing me a disservice, me personally. This is about Christine Daae, who becomes an opera singer at the Palace Garnier, thanks to the help of a mysterious teacher, her angel of music, who turns out to be the Phantom, who turns out to be a man who lives in the bowels of the opera house and has become obsessed with her. It's a musical. I know that you've heard the overture before. Even if you think you haven't, I know that you have. If you haven't watched this, if you love me, watch this movie. I don't care if you don't like musicals. I don't give a shit. Go watch Phantom of the Opera. The final movie that I watched in November, I watched it in the very last hour of November because it was being taken off of Netflix on December 1st, and that is Back to the Future, a movie I have been embarrassed to say I've never watched before. Finally, I can no longer say that. Finally, I have watched Back to the Future for the first time ever. And guess what? It was every bit as good as everyone f***ing says it is. Don't you hate that? When you've put something off for so long and then you watch it and it's so good and you're like, oh, I could have had this in my life this entire time. I could have been just that much happier for my entire life. If you somehow don't know what this is about, Marty McFly is a teenager who is best friends with a crazy old mad scientist who's like 75. Not sure how that happened, but the scientist, Doc, invents a time machine. Marty McFly gets sent 30 years in the past. He accidentally stops his parents from meeting, and then his mom falls in love with him instead, and most of the movie is spent with his own mother 30 years ago trying to him, which was crazy to watch. Also crazy, and I don't know why this is not talked about more, there's rampant sexual assault in this. Like 3 different people just casually tried to assault Marty McFly's mother, and there are no consequences shown to any of that. Nothing ever happens to these people. Anyways, it's not on Netflix anymore, so I don't know when the next time you're gonna be able to stream it is, but if you haven't watched Back to the Future, I suggest that you do. Oh, and that's the end. That was 8 books and 16 movies that I read and watched in the month of November. If I have swayed you into reading or watching any of these, please let me know. If you have any okay, hold on. I don't need book suggestions right now. I have a stacked list. If you have any movie suggestions for me, please let me know. I always need more movie suggestions. I have a whole list on Letterboxd of movies that it's embarrassing that I haven't seen these yet. I will work on that in 2026. I don't want to be so embarrassing anymore. But if you have anything for me to add to that list, please let me know. And that kicks off Bookmas. I hope you are having an amazing December so far. I hope you have some good plans coming up. I hope we're all excited for the new year. We're gonna be happy. We're gonna be healthy. That's the plan. Knock on wood. If you can hear me, if you can read the subtitles, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you very soon. I love you. Bye.